Let's get into our tier list. I would like to discuss every Raptor this season. We're going to rank their expectation versus the reality. So, what my perceived expectation of the player would have been going into the season, we're going to rank it based on how they actually performed over the course of the season, or in their limited role of the season, or the way they finished the season with the team. And we'll just kind of see like which Raptors players were good, which Raptors players were bad, maybe talk a little bit about what needs to change for next season. And we're going to do this in a fun, interactive little tier list here. So, as you can see, we have 5 different tiers. So, the players who extremely exceeded expectations, went above and beyond what I would have expected. We have the exceeded expectations. They were above what I expected them this season. The players who were just about what I expected them to be. Those who were underwhelming, and those who were way under the expectations I have them going into this season. So, for starters, Pascal Siakam should have been an all-star, made the all-NBA third team. I mean, hard not to put him here. I mean, I could say that I have high expectation for Siakam and put him here, but honestly, I think he extremely exceeded expectations. Career high in points, career high in assists by a lot, career high in rebounds by a lot. Best season of his career by far, and deserved to be on the all-NBA third team. I was so happy for him to be able to do that. And one of the biggest things for me was, we saw Siakam's ability to produce in the playoffs, other than game 3. And we saw Siakam's ability to perform in the clutch of games, to get it done in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, to will this team to wins. Those 50-50 games, those coin flip games where it's close late, and he puts us over the line. Next one is Fred VanVleet. He tailed off near the end of the season, but there was no way I would have expected him to make an all-star team. He was sensational early on for the Raptors and really carried us, especially when Siakam was still kind of recovering from his shoulder surgery, or when Siakam wasn't even playing. Fred was carrying us. It was like we could not afford to have him on the bench at any point in the game. So definitely Fred VanVleet over there. Next one is OG Anunoby. I gotta say, I always talk about my high expectations for OG Anunoby, and he was fine offensively. His efficiency got a little bit worse. His defense wasn't as good as I would have expected, but I didn't take the jump I was sort of expecting. So I would say, I think it'd be unfair to say he underperformed, but he was fine. He was about average for what you were expecting from OG. We're continuing to pray OG takes that next leap, takes that jump. It hasn't really come yet. I don't know if it is ever going to come, that real big leap we were expecting. But if this is the best OG Anunoby will ever be, we've got a premier 3-and-D player in the NBA, one of the best defenders in the league, and I don't think that's a problem. Next up is Chris Boucher. I like Chris Boucher. His energy is awesome, and it was huge in the playoffs. It was important near the end of the season. Great rebounder, but I ain't forget about that start of the season, first of all. And second of all, even with all the energy that he brings, I still want him to be a little bit more consistent from a scoring standpoint. And he just wasn't that. Sure, he could have great games. He's putting up 11 rebounds, but 2 points on 1 for 7 shooting. And, after such a great season last year, I guess I was expecting a little bit more from Boucher from a skill standpoint, and a little bit more from a consistency standpoint. And that wasn't forthcoming. And, I would say I was a little bit overall as an entire season ranking. I would say I was probably a little bit underwhelmed with what Chris Boucher did. Next up is Simi Hyluk. We signed this guy to be a sharpshooter off our bench. We needed a shooter to come off our bench so badly, give that second unit floor spacing, and he just didn't do that. His job is literally to shoot the ball well, and he couldn't do that. No sugarcoating it. He was really bad this season, and I probably would be surprised if he was still a Raptor for next season. Next up is Gary Trent Jr., and I gotta say, from an offensive standpoint, he did all the things necessary to get to the next level. He became a lot more consistent with his jump shot. His shot IQ, which was huge for me, improved dramatically. He stopped kind of chucking up bad shots. He improved his finishing touch at the rim. And the biggest thing was he turned into a liability on defense, from a liability on defense to one of the better defenders in the league, getting so many deflections, getting so many steals. And that came out of absolutely nowhere. Like, all we really needed him to do was be an average defender, and he was one of our better ones and so essential to this team. Sure, consistency could be a little bit of a problem, but what's great is that, even he's a bit of a streaky shooter, but even when the shot's not falling, he still has the defense playing well enough to be on the floor. It's awesome. Next up, Isaac Bonga. Now, for the players who don't play enough for the Raptors, I will rank them based a little bit on how they perform for the Raptors 9 of 5, because I did go to every home game this season. It's one of these two. From a Raptors standpoint, he was horrible every time he played for the Raptors. From a 905 standpoint, earlier in the season, like at the start of the season, he was so dominant, like literally unguardable, and he fell off a lot. You know what? I gotta say, I expected a lot more out of Isaac Bonga. I mean, started the season for 9 of 5, tearing it up. He fell off a cliff. Like later in the season, he was struggling to get like even 5 points in some of the games. And for the Raptors, God, like every time he played, he was so bad, like so bad in limited minutes, like garbage time, but still. Oh man, there's clearly so much potential in Bonga, the skill set for his size, but like he's just not developing, which is a bit of a worry, but we'll put him there. Next, Yuta Watanabe, another one where, man, his 3-point percentage last like 2 seasons ago, the Tampa season, was decent. His defensive IQ was very good, which was nice to see. This season, I was expecting the 3-point percentage to get better. Nick Nurse said it best. Yuta Watanabe is a good 3-point shooter. We need him to be scary. Well, he got worse than he did in Tampa instead of getting better. And defensively, he also got worse there. And especially in the Tampa season, one of the criticisms I had for him was he needs to be more aggressive and get to the rim a little bit more often. And just didn't do that. Like he was like unplayable in a lot of games. And there's a reason he never got play time unless it was garbage time. And I was expecting Yuta to be, a rotation guy. That didn't happen. Next up is Armani Brooks. I don't know if I would say he exceeded. I mean, I would say he exceeded expectations. Not that he was like fantastic, but when we brought him in, like he was definitely a better defender than we thought, and his shooting was pretty good. His playmaking was pretty good, and for a guy I expected just to be on a 10-day to fill in a gap, he actually got a multi-year deal with a partial guarantee. So the Raptors saw something in him, and he took his shot. He was impressive, especially late in the season, pushing for that 5th seed. He was important for that, and gave us great floor spacing when guys like Svi and Yuta weren't doing it. So yeah. Expectations. Next up, Precious Achiuwa. I'm gonna put him in the same tier. I think some people might put him up here, but I am gonna factor in how earlier in the season he was underwhelming. It did pick up a ton as the season went on, especially late season in the playoffs. The 3-point percentage was better. Like I expected it to be good. It was even better than that. His defense, I expected to be good. It was better than that. What a talent we have here. And judging by the way Kyle Lowry has been playing lately, understanding that he maybe is playing a little bit hurt. Like we're gonna look back on this Kyle Lowry sign and trade like we made off like absolute bandits. Like what a trade that was by Masai Ujiri. Love that. Next up, Malachi Flynn. Oh man, I wanted Malachi Flynn to be the backup point guard this year, to start knocking down a jump shot consistently like he was doing at the end of the Tampa season. He didn't do that. Flat out, if he doesn't figure out how to hit a jump shot consistently, he's going to be out of the NBA, because his defense, as fine as it is, isn't good enough to save him. His playmaking, it's okay, not good enough to save him. He's got to find a way to start hitting his jump shot, or again, his NBA career is done. I'm getting a little frustrated because he's obviously talented. He's just not showing it, and he needs to get to that point. So harsh, but it is what it is. David Johnson. Now, with a 2nd round pick, you're not expecting much. He was very inconsistent for the Raptors 905. You would kind of expect him to be one of their better players. He just wasn't really that. So I do unfortunately have to put him in the underperform category for me. Even though he was, a mid-2nd round pick, I understand that. I still wanted a little bit better from him from the 905 standpoint. Justin Champagnie, like the fact that we got this guy undrafted and he gave a lot of great minutes for the Raptors, and was also, when he went down to the 905, he was like absolutely sensational. This guy was unbelievably good for the 905. It was so clear that he is way better than everybody else when he was playing. Putting up like way over 20 a game, hitting shots at will, getting to the rim at will, knocking down his threes at a crazy clip. Like, amazing for the 905. And also, especially earlier in the season, provided a lot of great bench minutes for the Raptors. So, yeah, he definitely exceeded expectations. I'd even consider putting him up here, but we'll leave him here for now. Next up is Scottie Barnes. From a raw prospect who needed time to get settled into the NBA to Rookie of the Year, yeah. Like, we thought this guy couldn't shoot. He ended up shooting like 30% from three, averaging like 50 in the game, doing a ton of work on the glass, good playmaker, good defender, defending every position, defending like the other team's best player at times. Holy shit. Were we wrong? Were a lot of us wrong about Scottie Barnes pre-draft, including myself? He was so much better than advertised. Rookie of the Year. Need I say more? Delano Banton, you don't expect much out of second-round picks, mid-second round picks, but we got good value out of Delano Banton. Sure, he faded off and like fell off a cliff halfway through the season, but Jesus, to get any sort of production out of a guy who got drafted 46 overall is impressive, and he was very impressive earlier on in the season. He was definitely better than advertised. Thaddeus Young, I would say, or as a whole, he met expectations. He was about what you kind of wanted him to do. I think that's a fair assessment of Thaddeus Young. He did play really well in the playoffs. I'll give him that. Better than advertised there. But in the regular season, you know, you brought in bench help. You brought in veteran presence. Wasn't the best scorer. Wasn't the best passer. But he worked hard, played good defense, and helped us get 48 wins. So he was about what I was expecting. And the final one, Khem Birch. I mean, this is just like the epitome of average. Just not necessarily a knock on him, but no. There, gets rebounds, scores a little bit. Didn't hit a three all season, but hit like 3 in the playoffs. But oh yeah, Khem Birch, not a box score stuffer, but like, you know, certainly has a role. Was really good earlier on in the season, kind of faded off. I would say about average is fair. And there you have it. That is my Raptors tier list. Expectation versus reality for this season. Let me know what I got right. Let me know what I got wrong in the comments down below, and where you would put certain players. And make sure to subscribe to Amateur Clips for more clips from our Twitch streams all throughout the off season. Thanks for watching.